welcome to your deep dive. We're diving deep into the book of Genesis, specifically the story of Cain and Abel.
Oh, classic.
You know the one, jealousy, murder, the first homicide, but we're going deeper.
It's a story, for sure.
Are you ready to unearth some ancient history with me?
Absolutely. I mean, this story is practically a fossil in our culture. It makes you think about jealousy, revenge, big stuff, the things that just keep coming back around.
Right. It's like we're hardwired for this stuff.
Yeah.
So Garden of Eden, right? Adam and Eve, they have Cain, he works the land. Then comes Abel, he's a shepherd. What do you make of these occupations? There's got to be more to it than just putting food on the table, right?
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I mean, you've got Cain tied to the earth and Abel, always on the move. It's almost like a little seed the story is planting. Like these are two paths for civilization, but also maybe like different values that are going to clash. I don't know.
Ooh, clashing values. Okay. Foreshadowing. I like it.
Yeah.
So they both bring offerings to God. Cain brings some of his harvest, right? Makes sense. But Abel, he brings the firstborn of his flocks. That's a big deal back then, right? And God says, well, God prefers Abel's offering. What's your take on that? What's God saying here?
It's the question, isn't it? Why'd God like that lamb chop better? But seriously, it can't be about the stuff itself, right? You gotta think, back then, to sacrifice the best you've got. That's trust. That's saying, God, I'm all in, you'll provide.
So it's less about what they brought, more about like the emotion behind it.
Right. It's about the devotion, the willingness to sacrifice. Some scholars even say it reflects on what people worried about back then. Was it better to be tied to the land, like Cain? Or did you have to move with the flocks, be adaptable, like Abel?
Wow. A changing world. Never thought about it like that.
Yeah, and so you've got this maybe clash of values, right? Like we were saying.
And then, bam, jealousy. Cain is furious. The text actually says his face fell.
Yeah, talk about your mood going south.
And God, being God, sees this happening. He warns Cain about sin. Like, hey, something bad is coming.
It's some powerful foreshadowing there. And this is important, God doesn't just leave Cain hanging. He tells him he has a choice. He can rule over sin, free will.
Right. But it's free will with consequences. And Cain, well, he makes a choice. And it's not good. He takes Abel out to a field and, well, it doesn't end well.
Understatement of the century.
So what's your read on this, expert speaker? What pushes Cain over the edge?
It's easy to just say jealousy, right? But think about what we're saying. Maybe Cain's whole world, everything he believes in, it's being thrown out. Not just by God, but by his own brother.
This isn't just a jealous brother. This is an existential crisis.
Exactly.
And then there's that line from God, right? Where is your brother?
And Cain, classic Cain, he says.
Am I my brother's keeper?
The original deflection, trying to push away the responsibility. But God sees right through it.
Oh, yeah. And that image God uses, Abel's blood crying out from the ground, chilling.
Talk about a haunting image.
And then the punishment, exile. Cain is alone, a wanderer. He's even scared someone will kill him.
I mean, can you blame him?
No, not really. But here's where it gets complicated. God gives Cain a mark to protect him. It's justice, but it's also mercy.
It's like God saying, you messed up big time, but I won't let another life be taken because of it.
Justice and compassion all mixed up together. So Cain is alone, marked. But this isn't the end of his story, is it?
It's like, okay, murder happened, what now, right? But Cain's story, it doesn't stop there. It kind of explodes. Progress, violence, all mixed up with his descendants, like a messed up family tree.
A family saga, biblical style. So there's Enoch, Cain's son, builds a city that's huge, right? But then later, we get Lamech. And wow, talk about taking revenge to the next level.
His song, yeah, even translated, it's still intense. It's like Cain's story echoing down, the dark side of being human. It never really goes away.
It makes you wonder, is this just who we are? Like, are we born this way? But hold on, because there's another brother, right? Talk about a plot twist.
Oh, yeah. Genesis loves to keep us on our toes. So after Abel, Adam and Eve, they have Seth. And people see him as a sign of hope. Like, replacing Abel, a fresh start for everyone.
So Cain's line, it's dealing with all this baggage, but Seth, he's like a reset button.
That's how a lot of people see it. The text even says Seth's descendants, they called on the name of the Lord. It's like a whole new family line, maybe a little less, cursed than their Uncle Cain.
Okay, I'm with you. Two lines going in different directions. From one act of violence, sin, responsibility, and then this little spark of hope. It's crazy how these old stories, they still matter today, don't they?
It's true. These aren't just stories. They're like reflections of us. We might not be shepherds and farmers anymore, but the emotions, the choices,
Right.
totally relatable, right?
100%. Symbolism, family drama. But what does it all mean for us now? What are we supposed to take away from all this?
Well, Cain and Abel, it's like a crash course in some seriously big ideas, right?
Yeah.
Take jealousy. Talk about a powerful emotion.
Oh, yeah.
Cain, he lets it consume him. That need to prove himself, to, I don't know, be the favorite. It's a reminder, isn't it? How destructive feelings can be if you let them take over.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
The envy, comparing yourself to others. It's human, but like you said, it can escalate. Cain is a perfect example of that.
And that takes us to another point, our actions. They have these ripple effects.
Oh, tell me about it.
Cain's choice, that violence, it doesn't just end with Abel. The family's shattered, the world feels it, and then generations later, they're still dealing with the fallout. Consequences are a heavy thing to carry.
Seriously, like that saying, hurt people hurt people. But this is like the original version, Cain's choices. They affect everything.
But then, even with all that darkness, there's this little glimmer of hope. Right.
Seth.
Seth and his descendants. A new beginning. A chance to break the cycle of violence.
Even when things are bad, really messed up, you can still change things. Choose a different path.
Exactly. Cain and Abel, it's not just some morality tale. It's about how complicated people are. The good and the bad all mixed up together. We make choices, and those choices matter, but there's always a possibility of, I don't know, finding redemption.
So much to unpack. We went from, like, farming brothers to, the meaning of life. Amazing. Any final thoughts for us, expert speaker, as we wrap up this deep dive?
I'd say this. Cain and Abel, it's not just an old story, it's a mirror. What are we choosing to build in our lives? Are we building up or tearing down? Think about the legacy you want to leave behind.
Boom. Deep dive complete. Thanks for exploring with us. Until next time, keep those minds curious, and remember, choose your legacy wisely.